Now, the Trinity is described as three persons in one being or essence. Hence, some Trinitarians use the formula three who's in one what, which to me highlights the impersonal nature of the Trinity God, this one what. Yet modern day apologists will argue that singular personal pronouns like he, him, etc., can be used for the one what, that is, for all three persons. They even dare use classic unitary texts like Isaiah 44:24 to claim that the myself there is a reference to that one what comprised of the three who's. They also use, or misuse, I should say, John 17:3 to show that Jesus' confession there that the Father is the only true God does not mean Jesus is not the only true God. And they also misuse the text in 1 Corinthians 8:6 by saying that Paul here has, quote, split the Shema. So instead of just reading what the text says, there is one God, the Father, now they say you have to include Jesus as well. The British New Testament scholar Richard Bauckham says in his book Jesus and the God of Israel that Paul is not adding to the one God of the Shema, but including Jesus in the unique identity of the one God affirmed in the Shema. By the way, in what other profession can you get away with saying that adding is not including? Therefore, nothing is being changed. Well, nowhere, of course. Yet, still other Trinitarian apologists will argue that each person of the Trinity is Yahweh or Jehovah, yet there is only one Yahweh. The noted evangelical and so called intellectual Carl Henry warned his fellow Trinitarians not to fall into this clear, inescapable contradiction. He said that it would be like saying 3x equals 1x. Some critics consider orthodox representations of the Trinity a mathematical monstrosity. The doctrine, they contend, is as fallacious in its claim for the three in one God as is the formula 3x equals 1x. But this description patently distorts the doctrine. Christian theology affirms neither that three gods are one God, nor that three isolated persons are one God. Rather, it affirms three eternal personal distinctions in the one God. In short, 3x in one y. Such a formulation is both intelligible and non contradictory. Now, the fact that no one can ever understand this so called doctrine or teaching of the Trinity is highlighted by the ancient dictum try to understand it and you will lose your mind, try to deny it and you will lose your soul. The perpetrators of this continued assault on the senses of so many well meaning and zealous self professed Christians are the so called Cappadocian Fathers of the 4th century. They created what I call a slippery fish of a doctrine that demands its defenders constantly move the goalposts. John Biddle, who was considered the father of English Unitarianism, called the Trinity an error in counting or numbering, which, when argued, is of all others the most brutal and inexcusable. And if you cannot understand it, you cannot be a person. Later, the noted English intellectual Joseph Priestley said, it must be universally true that three things to which the same definition applies can never make only one thing to which the same definition applies. If, therefore, the three persons are each of them perfect God, they must still be three gods. And to say that there are only one God is as much a contradiction as to say that three men are not three men, but only one man. And lastly, the little known English Unitarian preacher, Lant Carpenter, said it best, I think, when he accused Trinitarians of talking in a language not possible to be understood. It is high time that all such metaphysical terms should be banished from Christian professions and Christian debates.